This is Travis Wayne Goodsell. I was able to run this morning because of the rain we had washing away the snow. Today I'll be able to go back to the translation. I've got 5 scenes already completed. Notice they're scenes, not chapters, not books. They're available on my website. I always put the website at the end of my videos. And yesterday's update, which is in my video listing, I put a link to it. So today is the day after Valentine's. So if a Friday night massacre happens today, hopefully you were able to spend some time with your loved one before it all hits the fan today. If you have no clue as to what's going on, today at 10, 10:30, 11, because Trump is always late, Eastern Standard Time, so anywhere from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock this morning for Utahns, Trump will be deciding whether to sign the budget bill to keep the government open. I'm getting word that enough congressmen have approved it so that they can overturn a veto by Trump. So if Trump doesn't sign, Congress will just override his veto and enact it anyway. Mitch McConnell went out at the floor and announced that Trump was going to sign, but then he was going to declare a national emergency. But everybody who knows about the National Emergency Act knows that with a Democrat-controlled House, Trump will not be able to just get away with it by declaring it. Nancy Pelosi already plans to deny it and have it brought up in a vote in Congress. And so Trump will not get that either. And those who are instructing Trump on what to do next and plan the premeditative plans for the future, they know all this. They knew that a Democrat-controlled House would do it, and yet when Trump had a full Republican Party bill, he rejected it and shut down the government. And so, yeah, Trump could shut down the government again, but he's losing Republican support. He's losing popular support from his base. He didn't, of course he understood the implications. You know, it's like the devil doesn't support his own. It's a precept that's not supposed to be taken literally, but yeah, Trump is known for not paying the contractors, and so sure enough, he's refusing to pay the contractors. You know, that's what he's always done. For all of his building projects, before he became president, he didn't pay the contractors. And then when they complained, he sued them. You know, when the bank said, hey, you're overdue on your payments for your loans, he sued them. And so nobody wanted to give him loans anymore. So he had to go to Deutsche Bank, where Russia launders money. Trump is compromised. Now, Mormons, why am I talking politics? You know very well why I'm talking politics. It's all over the Book of Mormon. King Mosiah gave up the throne and established a constitution called the Law of Mosiah. But that's what it was, a constitution. And what destroyed the Nephites was the kingmen. The kingmen wanted to establish a king on the throne, and the Gadianton robbers infiltrated the government through these kingmen. And overturned the laws of Mosiah, and it was slow. It was little by little, piece by piece, just like a frog in boiling water. That's what's being done to us. Little by little, our Constitution has bits and pieces, rights for life, liberty, and property taken away little by little. And they even do it through segregated denials. Refusing to allow women and blacks to vote. And so we had to have an amendment. So once the amendment passed because of the civil rights movement, well, they had to figure out a way to shut down any future civil rights movements. So now when you protest, you get arrested. It's now a crime. And you're zoned if you go through the legal process to get permit to protest. You're zoned far away from any of the opposition whom you're protesting. And they still, as a result of not listening to you, continue to deny rights because nobody can challenge them. And people allow our government to do all this. And now we're at, well, we've been at a constitutional crisis. With government taking just a little piece of the Constitution, you're automatically in a constitutional crisis. But let me read from the Declaration of Independence. I would put the clip from National Treasure by Nicolas Cage, but they would complain and ban my video until some future time when they say, alright, well, yeah, it's not a copyright violation, but then YouTube will have shadow banned it. So, yeah, we already have censorship denying freedom of speech on the social media platforms. And people say, oh, well, it's their business, they can do whatever they want. No, they can't, people. They have to allow rights. They can't do whatever they want. That's corruption talking to you, trying to convince you to back off and allow your liberties and freedoms to go, to be tossed aside. All right, so Declaration of Independence. All right. Let's see. We'll probably start here. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people. Now, Nicolas Cage messes up when he explains what he had just quoted. He says those who have the ability are responsible. No, that's not what the Constitution says, or the Declaration of Independence says. It is the right of the people, we the citizens, to alter or to abolish the form of government. And they use it here. And to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. And then it's trying to reason here. You don't just do it for any old thing you disagree with. Oh, Republicans are in power and we the Democrats don't like that, so we're going to alter our government to make it a Democrat government. No, it doesn't work like that. We're not even supposed to have parties. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. They were talking about the King of England. They were talking about not wanting a king, a monarchy, over the United States. And so they established a constitutional republic. I have to put constitutional in front of republic because people don't get it. You have to combine the two articles together. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and we're supposed to have a republican form of government. What type of republican form of government? A constitutional republican form of government. It's that simple. It's been there the whole time. And yet we established parties, thanks to Thomas Jefferson, who established the first party government when George Washington ended his presidency. And so the campaign for the next president began with a party organization, and thus brought the downfall of the United States. And so that's a socialist republican form of government. You know, USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, Russia, communism. Hello. But Putin is not Russian. He's not communist. He's Russian, I guess, but he's not communist. He's fascist. And there are different types of fascism, and there's Marxism and Leninism and blah, 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 blah. But it all falls under general categories. Hitler was fascist, though he ran under communism to get into office. Trump used to be Democrat until he went to Russia, and then he became pro-Russia, pro-Republican, and ran as a Republican. And now he's turning into alt-right. It's fascism. And you already see it with AOC saying she's a socialist Democrat. So there you have it. We have communist socialism, Marxism, whatever, on the one side, and you have fascism on the other. You know, just because they call it a different name doesn't mean that it's not what it actually is. Just look at the platforms. We're not supposed to have parties. The Constitution is the law, the supreme law, and Utah does not follow it either. When I was before I was arrested, those 2-week period of time before they arrested me, they tried to set me up. They had on display permission to show the Declaration of Independence. I'm not sure if it was a copy or an official replica or whatever, but they had it displayed at the Utah Capitol, where I petitioned for a redress of grievances through Mark Shurtleff, who was the Utah Attorney General at the time. They purposely had it on the front page of the Deseret News, because in my book, Modern American Utopia, not only did I quote the Declaration of Independence giving out a call for the establishment of a new government. This was back under President Bush. You know, the guy who destroyed the economy and took away the Constitution with the Patriot Act, and went to war that resulted in the rise of Al-Qaeda and now ICE. It's not ISIS, that's the Egyptian goddess. I wish they wouldn't call them ISIS. It's not ISIS. Stop it. And so, yeah, that was Bush who did all that. And yet, when Trump took power and started being abusive and you know, the left wing was saying, "Oh, we miss the days of President Bush." Oh man. And so, yeah, it sickens me to watch the left-wing media as they keep trying to give us vain hope. We're gonna, the cabinet will do the 25th Amendment on Trump. No, Trump chose them. They're not gonna turn on him. Congress will impeach him. No, it was a full Republican Congress. It was ridiculous listening to Democrat media over and over again. Oh, we'll get him here, we'll get him there. Oh, we're going to get him in the midterms. Oh, we're going to get him with a full Democratic House. Oh, we're going to get him in the 2020 elections now. So now everybody's hoping for the 2020 elections to finally get Trump. I mean, have we the people not caught on yet? Have you Mormons not caught on yet? You say you love the Book of Mormon. You say you know it's true. You have scripture masteries memorized. You know the stories. You know you're supposed to liken it unto yourselves. So what are you doing? Huh? You know you're not supposed to have a king. You know you're not supposed to destroy the Constitution. Did you know that Orrin Hatch, who's now retired, is on the stats for being the congressman with the most proposals for altering the Constitution? Orrin Hatch, the most recommended changes to the Constitution. Mormon boy. So much for divinely inspired by God. Orrin Hatch wants to destroy it. So in my parting letter to him, after he announced his retirement and put in Kavanaugh with 3 other Mormon boys on that committee, I told him off. Shame on you. Multiple times. Shame on you for this. Shame on you for betraying our country. Shame on you for betraying Joseph Smith's memory. And then he went out with an emoluments violation by receiving an award from Trump for giving Trump his tax bill to the rich, which Orrin Hatch got upset in that discussion committee, saying, "I was poor. This is for the poor." Yeah, poor. Mormon boy. Liar. What does the Book of Mormon say that liars go and how they go? Thrust down to hell. So, yeah, I used the call out of the Declaration of Independence, calling out all armed forces, from police to the military and everybody in between, to not follow the orders of corrupt leaders. But they're not doing it, are they? Very few people are quitting their jobs. And you say, oh, well, they're in the federal government, people are quitting because they can't handle Trump. No, Trump fired them. The one thing that I caught from the Super Bowl interview with Trump that none of the left-wing media caught, Trump took credit for firing Mattis. He owned him firing. Mattis gave a resignation, as we all thought. But now Trump's saying, no, I fired him. And the left-wing media didn't even catch it. They were following the shiny keys that Trump was giving them. And so here we are again. This is Trump's habit. He throws things out there. He tries to get away with whatever he can. Whatever he can't get away with, he sits on it. Brings it out at a later time when he needs more shiny keys. And whatever he can get away with, he sees how long he can get away with it. And if nobody can stop him, it escalates. And so with the border crisis, national emergency that Trump claims, Trump already instigated it after he was elected. He did it in secret. He had the order all written out the day after, and they were implementing it. We have no idea how many children have been separated from their parents and are spread throughout the United States. They didn't even know about that. It wasn't until May of 2018 when we first found out, hey, wait a minute, there's kids in these camps separated from their families, and we're getting leaked recordings from inside. And then we have, the congressional disapproval, Maxine Waters and others going to the border to protest. And what does Trump do? He pretends to cave. And he signs an executive order in which he says he'll stop the separation of families. And the ACLU is taking the administration to court. And the judge is saying, Trump, find those parents for the kids. Find those kids too. Get us a number. And of course, the administration defied the judge. We still haven't fully restored everybody, and we never will now. Then, after Trump signed his thing at making everybody believe, oh, it's all solved, it's resolved now, yay, we can go on with our lives, we find out months later, oh, he didn't honor his contract, his executive order. He not only locked up kids, but he was doing it in greater numbers and was more severe. Because now we're finding out kids are getting drugged because they're getting upset that they're separated from their parents. So the psychiatrists in there are not quitting because of the human rights violations for which the UN banned us from the Human Rights Committee or Council or whatever. We are a human rights violating nation now, according to the UN, because of what we're doing at the border. Trump caused the national emergency. And now Trump is saying, oh, I'm going to fix the national emergency by making it worse. And so what's going to happen today? Trump can't get away with not signing it. Trump will have to shut down the government, but that won't really work. You know, it doesn't get him what he wants, it just delays things. He's been delaying this whole time. His pattern is to get worse. And so, if he's going to sign, like he did with the separating children from parents executive order reversal, what is he going to do that's going to be worse in violating his signing of the congressional bill? And you may think, well, this is just Trump. We need to allow him to run his presidency the way he wants, and then in 2020, people will have the right to vote. Russia put him in the first place. He didn't win the election. He's an illegitimate president. He doesn't have the right to be president. But it was a full Republican Congress. And he put in judges into the Supreme Court to make it a full, well, not full, it's a dominated Supreme Court as well. And the Republican Senate have been putting in hundreds of Republican judges on the benches throughout this nation. They're altering the government. They're rigging the game against us, the people. We're the ones who are suffering from all of this. We're not making America great, as apparently Bill Clinton said as his slogan. It's not America first, as the KKK originally declared as their slogan. Trump specifically is in the presidency to destroy the government and create anarchy. Steve Bannon already said it. Steve Bannon was Trump's architect. And so now we have Manafort, who has lied. And the judge has come out and said, yeah, he lied about his dealings with Russia. That whole conspiracy that Trump said there was no collusion. Oh, whoops. The judge said, yeah, Manafort has been lying. He is conspiring with Russia. So Trump's been lying this whole time about no collusion. It's technically called conspiracy against the United States. And then you have Andrew McCabe, the only one Trump fired. Others were terminated within the department, but Trump fired McCabe specifically. And of course, McCabe now has a book, and it's coming out on Tuesday. And so 60 Minutes had interviewed him, and it's going to show up, I guess, on Sunday. I'm assuming, because his book's coming out on Tuesday. And so 60 Minutes is now plugging it through their other shows So it's clear now. Trump has committed conspiratorial treason against the United States, against us. And so everything he's doing is not in our best interests. It is the interests of an enemy government who has been attacking us this whole time. Cyber attacks are real. It's a misinformation campaign. It's a propaganda campaign. That's what Hitler did to run for the chairmanship or whatever they called it in Nazi Germany, or in Germany. And then when he became the leader, he maintained it with the misinformation, with the propaganda. And guess which religion was the only religion that Adolf Hitler didn't persecute, didn't lock up, didn't torture in the concentration camps? That's right, Mormons, it's you guys. Hitler was fine with the LDS Church because the church did not speak out against him. They were silent. Guess what Nelson's doing to stand up to Trump? Nothing. He's silent. Just like they were during World War II. The church is alt-right. They're fascist. They support fascist agenda. Fascist agenda is a destructive agenda. It's a scorched earth policy. And so I've been warning Mormons this whole time, since I learned that there was going to be a total solar eclipse over the whole United States. That was back in 2017, remember? People were trying to say, oh, it doesn't mean, calamity upon the nation. That's just an ancient belief. Pagan. Heathen. What do you think of them now? I mean, you guys had your New Testament. You believe in Jesus, don't you? Jesus said, in the latter days, the sun would be darkened. Now, granted, we don't know when that day is just by a sun darkening. So you have to have a moon turning to blood as well. Not only that, you need a better time frame for all of this. Oh, John in chapter 12 of Revelation. There it is. John gives a specific date, an astrological date, an astronomical date, or whatever you want to call it. Because as the stars or the planets go through the zodiac constellations, that is a calendar. And so the arrangements that John talks about in chapter 12 is a specific date in the future. That's why the Catholic Church is wrong by saying, oh, that's Jesus. The man-child is Jesus, and the woman is the Virgin Mary. I have my lungs from running. No, guys, Catholics are wrong. It's a date in the future. It has never existed before and will never exist again. And so you have Mormons, Samuel the Lamanite specifically, who refuses to believe that the signs are the signs that Jesus spoke of, that John spoke of. Because, well, President Nelson didn't warn us. He didn't let us know. So it can't be now. This is what my enemies, my immediate enemies, are doing right now. They're going through the silent phase. They tried to attack. I prevented them. I called them out. I complained to every different agency. And when the police, West Valley City Police, finally responded to my complaint, they too joined in the attack against me. And so I complained about them. And so now there's a silence. Just like after I dropped off the book, which was my First Amendment right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. There was silence. They tried setting a trap at the Capitol here in Utah. I didn't fall for the trap. I mean, what was I going to do? I wasn't talking about blowing up bomb buildings as they were claiming. There's nothing in there that says that. They created it. They created a hype. They created a propaganda so that they can justify Judge Treese in approving their recommendation for sealing the records, the court records of the case. They trumped up the charges to terroristic threat for petitioning for a redress of grievances. Yeah, it's illegal to protest. It's illegal to claim a grievance. It's a terroristic threat if you dare exercise your First Amendment right. But they had no intention of locking away in prison. They knew they didn't have a case. We exposed that when they tried a second time to force me on drugs. No, they had to lock me away in the state hospital. And they had to do it by creating an illegitimate, illegal, internationally banned mental diagnosis. They had to lie. And they got Dr. Cohn to be that person, to lie to Judge Treese in order to remove me from society. They had no intention of taking me to trial. They had no intention of having a legitimate case so that I would end up in prison. They wanted me removed from society. And they couldn't just hire somebody to shoot me, although the officer at my arrest had his gun drawn, pointed straight at my head, waiting for any slight move to justify him in shooting me. I don't think they had the cameras at that point in time, so he could have gotten away with it, and everybody would have supported him. Oh yeah, he made a charge at the officer. He had to defend himself. Yeah. But that's where they made their mistake. They didn't kill me. You see it in the movies all the time. The bad guys, they have the opportunity to kill the hero, and they hesitate. They talk and they explain themselves. They delay the inevitable. Or they say, no, I want you to watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna torture you. And that's what they did. They tortured me. As if that's gonna be worse. That I'm gonna go, oh, you're right. I shouldn't have trusted in the Constitution for my rights. You guys are the supreme rulers. I bow to your authority. So, yeah, this is what Trump's doing, guys. He's torturing America. He's hesitating, he's delaying, he's dragging it out. That's torture. It's a torture tactic. And of course, he's got Stephen Miller, the architect now. Stephen Miller is pro-Nazi Germany. He knows the tactics, and he's given them to Trump. And Trump is following them. And then, you know, all these Hannity and whatever that woman is who looks like Ivanka, you know, everybody's saying, oh, they're trying to control Trump. No, it's Stephen Miller. These are all just distractions, people. It's the shell game that I've been talking about on my website over and over again. It's all a shell game. If you don't know the shell game, you've never walked the streets of New York. That's right. That's my LDS mission, was there in New York, New York. And so, you know, we're walking in Manhattan, taking in the sights on our P-Day, preparation day, if you don't know. And we come across this group surrounding a guy with a box, a stand-up box that can be dismantled and carried away. And he's got these 3 cups, and they're cut in half, so he's able to slide them around on the top of the box. And there's a ball that's inside one of the shells at one particular time, and he keeps switching around and moving it. And he's there's another guy who is the announcer, saying, "Who can figure out where the ball is? Make your guess. Win money." You have to pay to play. And all the crowd is watching. Oh, this is great. Oh, wow. And then someone from the audience says, "I'll do it. I'll try it." And he loses. He loses money. He puts down $10 or $20, and he loses it because he guesses wrong. My Russian companion, because they use the word companion on the missions, he wants to play. He thinks he can win. And I'm like, "No, dude, don't, no, no." He's, "No, I can do this, man. I can figure it out." And so, yeah, he goes, lays down a 20, and the guy is moving the ball around through the shells, and my companion, I won't say his name, but he's focused. He's paying close attention, and another person from the crowd is saying, "Don't do it. It's a trap. You're gonna lose." And others are all excited now. "Oh yeah, you're gonna do it. You can do it." And he lost. He lost his money. He wanted to do it again because he was so frustrated that he knew where the ball was. Nobody wins unless they let you win, because there's a little hole, it's 2 ways. Either there's a hole that is released in the box so that the ball drops in, so that none of the shells have it, or in the shell itself, it's able to pick up the ball and cover it up so that you can't tell. So he lifts it up and where to go? So either way works. It depends on the person and his technique. But yeah, he lost, and he wanted to do it again. I'm like, "No, dude, get out of here. Let's go." And we got out of there. But that's what's going on in our government. We have 2 parties running our whole government. That's horrible in and of itself. That's not a choice. When there are only 2 choices and both of them are bad, that's not a choice. And so as a result, we have shiny keys and threats made by both sides. When one side is in power, the other side is saying, you must vote for us in order to remove the other from power. That's threat. That's what the Democrats did in the midterm elections. That's what they're doing now in preparation for the 2020 elections. You must vote for a Democrat. And they're pissed at the billionaire who wants to run as an independent. He's messing things up. They're threatening him. You can't run. Oh, I thought it was everybody's right to be allowed to run for president. Of course, it's not, because the states have already prevented that from happening. You have to belong to a party, and you have to belong to a party that can get enough votes. And if you're not a part of a party, there are some states that say you can't run as an independent. We won't let you. Oh, I'm sorry, but the Constitution says they're not supposed to be parties. And states are supposed to be subject to the Constitution. See, we've already lost our rights in the Constitution. Not just from police officers roaming the streets, giving out citations to people for nothing. Oh, you were speeding. So, well, I'm giving you a ticket. You have to pay money so the city can meet their quota. That's unconstitutional, but you can't do anything. You have to then accuse the cop of giving out a wrong ticket. And so he then gets the defense attorney that they have for all the cops. It's an automatic guy in each city. So they don't get a public defender. They have a cop defender. And you get nothing. You're supposed to be able to petition for a redress of grievances, which means the prosecuting district attorney is supposed to take your case against the officer, saying, Your Honor, or jury, because there's no jury in traffic court. So again, more violations of the Constitution. But that's how they do it. Just like the Gadianton robbers as the kingmen infiltrating the government of the Nephites. They took away the Constitution, the law of Mosiah. That's what they've done here in the United States. And they've set it up so that Trump could take over. When the people didn't want him, he lost. You know, the election was rigged, votes were altered. I may not have been paying attention to the other show here. So let me wrap this up and see if I've messed up on this other one. But things are going to get bad. So I hope that with today's paycheck, you go out and get food. If anything, get food. It's the 15th, so hopefully you've paid your bills for the month already. But you need food to survive what's coming. And it may be another delay. You know, we don't know. We already lost our government. We've already lost our rights. Now it's just torture time. There may not be a final destruction. This could technically be called the destruction, where we're all enslaved. where all our rights are gone. And it's just the calm before the storm. Trump used that, remember? Back in his days of fire and fury. He was talking about America, not North Korea. So, alright, we're at 50 minutes. So, I'll keep working on the translation for you guys. If you can't figure out what's going on, I can't help you. If you're going to continue to remain chained in the cave. I did the allegory of the cave yesterday, guys. Look at my video playlist. Mormons are doing exactly as Plato predicted. I'm the guy who freed myself from the chains and has seen the big picture, who has walked outside, who doesn't get confused or deny what I'm seeing outside. I see very clearly. I know exactly what's going on here in the West Valley City. Everybody's leaving me alone lately. They're setting things up to come at me again in a future time. When they think that I've forgotten or that I let my guard down. Because that's what happened when I first complained last year. They, the people I complained against, set things up so that they can come after me again. And they did. And I complained again. And then the West Valley City Police said, oh, well, they did all this, so we're now attacking you. So again, everybody's silent. Everybody's keeping their distance. Setting things up to come at me again. That's what Trump does, guys. That's what the church is doing. You know, Nelson threw out a whole bunch of stuff. Changed all sorts of things in April conference of last year. Then did a few more in October conference. And he'll keep doing more. He's already said, I have plans. The destruction of the church is imminent too, not just the government. He's enslaved you Mormons. He's denied you access into the celestial kingdom. You need to be a high priest. If you can't be a high priest, you can't go. Section 76. Hello? But if you're going to remain chained in the cave, and if you don't know Plato's allegory of the cave, I can't help you. See, Jesus used metaphors and allegories and parables. The people didn't understand. I don't understand. Oh, farming seed, yeah, I know. What do you mean? The Pharisees got it, though. They were insulted because they got it. Because Jesus was mocking them. So, alrighty. Get food. If you don't listen to anything else I'm saying here, get food. And of course it's 55 minutes into the video, so you've already gone if you're not listening.